What is up, everybody? It's Slippin Jimmy here with you, previewing the next weekend of MLB slates of games. Here with Outlier, gonna try and go through some of the promos. Gonna go hopefully find a dinger pick for you guys today. We'll go through that first with the DraftKings No Sweat Bet. I think we've got another promo on the FanDuel side that I'll try and help build for you, and then we'll preview the weekend slate. This is what we do every Thursday. So we'll go through, see the pitching matchups that we got today, some good bets, some filters that you may want to set, and yeah, just get right into it. So why don't we start by looking at the slate? There's actually one game if you want to look at. So if you've got DraftKings, they've got the home run no sweat bet. I don't know how long they're going to continue to honestly keep running this promo, but it's a good one. Endone, I believe, is later this week, Rich. So I can try and, if you go into the Outlier Discord, you can go and look at when his streams are. But he is, I believe, either later today or tomorrow. You can find Mbone, and Closing Dime will be later tonight for the EV show. So this is the baseball preview here that we're going to run through and give out some bets. But let's go and look at what we can find here for a dong or a dinger that we want to play for today. I'm targeting this Red Sox-Orioles game that's going to be here at 1 o'clock. So part of the reason that I'm looking at this game in particular is there's two kind of factors into that. One is I'm going to go here to this site's Handigraphs that I'll give this out in the Discord. It's just got all the StatCast metrics that you can find on given pitchers and batters. But you can see, so Charlie Morton last season, we're still using last season's data. It's still a little bit early to try and use for 2025. He has one of the higher home run to fly ball rates that he's giving up. And then especially the 1.38 home run per nine. And that was on if you're on the road. If you're at home, last season it was even a little bit worse. I guess around the same, 16.4, 1.16. So we're gonna want to target him though as a guy that's going to be. So we're gonna look at a Red Sox probably that's going to be hitting this. The other reason is that if you take a look at the weather, obviously for April, the home runs and dingers in general, they're just going to be a little bit more depressed because weather is not as favorable. But for this game in particular, you've got not only winds that are blowing out at about 15 miles an hour at Camden, but it's also going to be relatively warm. It's going to be like 75, around 77 or so in the middle of the game. So I like those conditions to go and look for somebody who is going to potentially hit 1 yard. And then what I'm going to do here is just going to go look and see. First off, we'll come into Outlier here in just a second, but we want to take a look at who has been hitting the ball particularly well, getting a bunch of hard hits and barrels. That's kind of like what you want to look into when you are trying to find someone who's likely to hit a home run. So in this case, you've got probably three decent candidates here with Abreu, Bregman, and Duran. So what I'm going to do now is an Outlier. I've already got the set over. I'm going to go for home runs. And then I'm going to pick our Red Sox game, which I think I need to reload this actually real quick. There we go. Yep. So we'll go into Red Sox and Orioles. And then let's take a look at the lines here. I'm going to guess Abreu is our best price out of all of these. Oh, yeah. So Bregman is 700 on DraftKings, which I kind of like here. And that's also a little bit EV, at least if you're using multiplicative as the DVIG method. Pretty bad in terms of additive and shin. But Breggy has not hit a home run this year. I kind of like that as well, that he might be due. His history against Morton, not great. Right-handed pitching, yeah, he's actually a little bit, but he does make better contact. How's he doing so far this season against right-handed pitching? So let's look at Bregman. Yeah, he actually has not been great against right-handed pitching. 24 WRC plus, not very good. Okay. Well, it's surprising. I actually thought Bregman was going to definitely be the guy I wanted to target here, but I don't love some of his stuff against righties. So let's take a look at Abreu. Now he's batting 6th in today's lineup. He has hit he's actually hit 2 home runs in the season opener against Texas. And yeah, his right-handed stats, at least from 2024, are pretty good. He is a lefty. Let's take a look at. Oh yeah, he's been killing right-handed pitching. Yeah, so that probably is going to be my lean here on Abreu. If we take back a look at, I know Charlie is a little bit better against lefties, but that's more so just on the home run per 9. You can see what Woba is pretty consistent between the two, so it's not a huge difference. And if you look at, he is a curve and fastball predominant pitcher. Yeah, I like this one here for Abreu. And plus 700. We're getting 7-1 odds here on a dinger for Abreu with pretty good conditions and against a pitcher, at least in terms of the pitchers that you're going to see today, it's probably going to be one of the better ones to target. So for me, I'll add this here to the slip. I'll share this right after at the end of the show. We're going to go with, for our no sweat, Abreu at 700 for the no sweat. And again, you go on DraftKings, just opt into this, and then it's going to be Wilyer Abreu. That's what we're taking here for our no sweat dinger of the day. If you guys want a couple others just to look at that might be sort of interesting, if we go back to, let's just see. Okay, so the other one I would look at is that Philly and Colorado game. And this one probably just as good of conditions as that Red Sox Orioles one. So we go back here. We're going to go back into props. Let's target this one. So I'm going to take out this, X out of that filter. When you're using the filters and outlier, this is typically kind of how I go through the rundown. It's like, all right, find the guys on either Fangraphs, on my site, on Handygraphs, or kind of try and target who are some of the pitchers you want to fade. Click that game, and then we're going to go look for players within that game. So we go back here. We know that Colorado starter, for example, pretty bad at giving home runs. So I'm going to look at. I have a bad feeling this is going to lead to another Alec Bohm pick, who I have already bet to hit a home run, I think 2 or 3 times already this season, and has let me down every single time. But so we've got, let's see, who is barreling? Once again, we've got Bohm, Schwarber, and Harper. So I'm going to go back here. So we'll go to Bohm. Those are our 3. Schwarber, definitely the worst price out of these at plus 275. Harper at plus 370. Although 440 on FanDuel, guys, is not bad. That is not a bad price for him. We're going to go back to Bohm. So he is at plus 830 on FanDuel, plus 750 on DraftKings. And his right-handed pitching splits last year, yeah, pretty much. He pretty much unchanged, I guess. But you definitely want to target. So this is even more confirmation for me that probably Bohm is your play. So Senzatella, again, he did not pitch a lot last year. I think if we look at his stat, yeah, only 12 total innings pitched. So you got to take this with a massive grain of salt on the home run per 9. But in that very limited sample, very, very bad against right-handed batters. So I would say the other thing that I'll look at is if I go here to Fangraphs, just real quick. One thing, like especially at the beginning of the season, make sure to look at some of the spring training data just to see, there's usually you could give it about 75% of the weight you would give regular season data. So if you look at his stats from spring training, he was pretty good actually at keeping home runs down. What was his? Yeah, he was looks like pretty solid actually in spring training this year. So I still like this play, but I think I like the Abreu one more for the DK no sweat, especially because that was the best price out of any book. But if you're looking for another one that you want to play for today, I would go with Bohm here at plus either 830 on FanDuel, or if you're playing it for the no sweat on DraftKings, you're going to want to use that plus 750 price. All right. So FanDuel, that was the other promo I wanted to hit on for today to give you guys another bet. Obviously, you could use the Bohm bet here, right, for the 30% on the 830 that you're going to get boosted there. If there's any other props that I'm kind of looking at, so this one, we can use this for literally any prop that we would see on the board. So what I'm actually going to go do is I'm going to go check out my pro screen. And nice. So we've got actually two that are showing up here on the EV screen. Pretty low EV, to be honest. Hunter Goodman at plus 125. He's going up against Walker. This one's actually not a bad play now that I'm looking at this. So Walker against right-handed batters, 337, 346. What is his total bases? So that's another thing you can try to be able to start doing when you're looking at the pro screen. It's like, all right, plus 125, that could be a bet right there. But, we're looking at Walker. He's really bad, really, really bad against right-handed batters and was last season. And I don't know if that got any better during spring training. But if we pull up his spring training stats, he was pretty bad, it looks like, in spring training once again. 7.41. He only had one start in spring training. And 342 average. So, yeah. So, small sample size, but he also did not pitch a lot in spring training. So, I look at this and say, do I want a total bases line here? And the answer is definitely no, because you're basically getting the same price for plus 125 on just to hit a single versus the 1.5 for total bases. We look at his home run. Not particularly great. Also is homered on the 31st, and he homered yesterday. So, yeah, I think this is probably our play here for the profit boost that you're going to get for FanDuel. So 30%, you can use that on. Now, we've got a no-run first inning and yes-run first inning. What I will do later in the season is, like, Fangraphs has the splits leaderboards that you can go to, and you can actually filter down by which pitchers give up the least amount of hits and runs in the first inning, and then that can be a good one for your Nerfy. At this point, it's still pretty limited, again, in your sample. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is looking at, who, for example, has the worst batting matchups, and it's probably, it's got to, let me look at, what is that mini and Houston Nerfy? To find this in Outlier, by the way, you're going to click Game Lines and then just click over here for inning. So I'm going to do that, and then you'll see first inning total. Oh, yeah. So this one's already pretty juiced. Although it's EV on DraftKings, so I mean, I know you're paying the minus 135 there, but that's not terrible. And you could use a profit boost on this for FanDuel at minus 145. That would make it a little bit more EV if you want. If I want to just take a look at what are some of the other prices. So we've got Cookie Carrasco. So we can also bet these on a yes run first inning. And if we go back to that Phillies Rockies, what was that? Minus 130 on ESPN. That's the only other one I would say is Yankees are playing Arizona. That one's at 7:05, and that is yeah, probably would say, I know it's like a little chalky, but I think your bet here is the under on the first inning Nerfy for Astros and Twins. Just particularly, I like Joe Ryan, and also I think Hunter Brown is great. So this one is still going to get you a plus EV bet. You might even close with a little bit more CLV on this one too. So that would be my recommendation there for your profit boost for FanDuel and for your dinger for DraftKings. So any comments, put them here in the chat. Travis, if you join the Outlier Discord, we can help you kind of walk through how to use baseball within the app, as I've kind of gone through, showing some examples of how I kind of typically use Outlier to do some of the baseball props. So Discord's got a lot of great information. Also, Outlier's website, our blog, that also will have a lot of good stuff there for you to end up using. So let's pivot here and talk a little bit about some of if we see any on the EV screen that we're going to want to look at. And Bless, don't worry, we will share out the plays that we already have built. We're looking, though, at a Wilyer Abreu dinger, a Alec Boehm home run, and then also a Nerfy for the Twins Astros. And then I believe this one's still available. Hunter Goodman single here is another one. So we'll share that slip out, though, here at the end. All right, so not a ton on the EV screen that I like to do in terms of just kind of seeing like for today's slate. I do see a Corbin Carroll under bases that's kind of interesting. So quickly just walk through that and see if that's worth a play. So, this one, pretty strong EV. So just to quickly show you guys what I use for my filter for the EV screen, I think this one's a pretty conservative, but it's a good approach to be able to find really good EV bets. So what I end up doing in Outlier, if you're using Pro, is I'll set these books here as optional. DraftKings is required. DraftKings for baseball tend to have a little bit better lines, at least especially for home runs. So I'm going to put that as just, basically this is just saying, hey, you can show me bets as long as DraftKings has a line for it. Doesn't have to necessarily be EV from DraftKings, but it has to just have a line. So we'll set that there. I'm going to set mine to additive, which is also a little bit more conservative. There's other things you can put in. Outlier just released some stuff around variation. This one's really cool. So you can go and get a little bit more of a explanation here. But if there's like very high variation, just think of that as like nobody really knows what the hell the price should be, right? There's a lot of variation. Whereas low variation saying there's a decent like market consensus around this price. I like to think of prices that are going to have a little bit lower variation, because that's telling me that one book is somewhat off and might be a little bit slow. So that would be just something to kind of keep in mind if you're ever using that. Use my Kelly multiplier here, and I'll just use this for eighth, but if I see something I really like, I'll go up on that. And then you just do player props, leagues, MLB, you're good to go. So we'll go back to this Corbin Carroll one. Now, what I also like to do too is I'm not going to just take this blindly. I want to try and just verify, does some of the stats match up? Does this make sense as to why this would be EV, right? So you take a look at kind of some of the pitch arsenal that Carrasco's got, which is he does throw 4 main pitches. He's not a big velo guy, but he does have a lot of pitches to throw from. So if he's throwing a lot of fastballs, that could be ugly for him. Changeups could be ugly. Sinkers could be ugly against Carroll. But sliders, looks like he definitely struggles a little bit more there. I don't know if I'm going to go check out the heat map here. Average 250, only 1 total base, but only 5 plate appearances. And then if we take a look at, so another thing here is that Cookie is a righty. So I'm going to go into my batters. Let's take a look at how has Carroll been doing against righties. Pretty well. He is actually killing righties right now. So what this is basically telling me is that, this season against right-handed pitching, 333 average, 219 WRC plus. And then I just want to take a quick look at, he did start off pretty hot. Yeah, he's still hitting the ball really hard in his last 5 games. So this would just be a good example where if you're just taking this based off of price, good price, right? You got under -125. This is almost a 25 to 50 cent difference on books. So you could take this just based on price. I might wait to take this one because I think that Carroll is still hitting the ball quite well. And we haven't seen Carrasco yet, but at least played the limited sample we have, it hasn't been terrific against him. So I'm going to say, and also you can see this inside here, 1.5, 5 of his last 6 games. I'll save this. I'll put it in my slip, and then this is one that I can kind of revisit later. If I still see this as EV in an hour, then I'm probably going to go just bet this because at that point, it's clear that market is still market consensus is still on the under here. But I have a feeling that there's a chance this could move a little bit back towards the bet 365 direction. So, and then we'll see. Is there any other new ones that are popping up here? So we'll go to all props. Yeah, look, there's some more that just kind of popped up. And another thing, that I'll just kind of point out is you can see some low EV. To me, the lower the EV, the more you want to be absolutely certain that it's a good play from just kind of doing some research on the stats. So we talked about a little bit earlier, I like Abreu to possibly hit a dong later today in the Sox and Orioles game. Bregman, a guy that I have a most doubles, I believe, bets on for the rest of this season, and has not hit one yet this year. But this would be one where I'm all right, I'm not betting this at all because of market price, but the fact that it is plus EV, even just slightly, that's interesting. I want to kind of look up and see what are some of his stats and splits. So against Morton, not very good, but against right-handed pitching, better. And then you can actually see that, Morton gives up a higher slug, higher extra base, higher batting average to righties. And then this, I would go look and see all right. So we look at Breggy, the last 5. Still getting a lot of hard hits, no barrels, but, that might be worth considering as a play in terms of that double. And you're getting a little bit of the confirmation that market likes this too. So good example there of low EV, but still could be a significant signal there for you to go and research and make that bet. All right. We're going to pivot now. So we typically do this kind of in 3 sections. So we've got the promos that we gave out and some of the plays that we like for today to play for those, some EV stuff that you probably want to try and get in your pocket for today. And then let's just take a look quickly at what we've got coming up here for the weekend slate. And what I like to do here is start to kind of just figure out who are some players that I want to start to build and set some filters for within Outlier. That's one good thing you can do in Outlier is you can actually look at specific players, save their filter, and then you can get notified once that prop gets posted, and you can usually get the best price whenever you do that. So if you look at tomorrow's slate, we've got obviously a lot more teams that are going to be playing for tomorrow. So what I'll typically kind of do is just be like, all right, who's the guys that suck? Well, that would can't believe Justin Verlander is, really on this list. But so you're going to have Vasquez, you're going to have Verlander from these again all last season. Cannon, Bueller was pretty bad last year, although I kind of like him coming into this year. And kind of just go through here's the list of pitchers that I might want to fade for tomorrow. So we've got Vasquez is playing the Cubs, right? So if we want to look at, for example, tomorrow, it does look like we actually have lines up for tomorrow, so we'll have to kind of wait on that. Guy, though, that I would be probably looking at to bet on the Cubs would be, let's see. So I'm going to go for team, and I believe, it's going to have to pop up for tomorrow. So we'll go team. So I would probably look to see Tucker's prices are going to be bad, but he has been just absolutely killing the ball. But I would look for a guy like Suzuki, Swanson. Those are both guys that might be interesting to target there. Cubs team total over is one that I would be looking at in terms of if you believe that Vasquez is going to kind of continue stinking from what he did from last season. So Suzuki, Swanson, those are guys that I would probably want to target for tomorrow. And then, if we look at, so the players that are available, we could possibly set filters on right now. These are going to only be for the players that are playing in today's game. So just heads up there. We don't have the selection for tomorrow quite just yet. But if I go back to, for tomorrow, who's playing tomorrow that played today? Okay, so for example, Arizona is going to be up against Washington. Who is Washington throwing? Jake Irvin. Yep. So that would be guys on Arizona that I might want to be looking for some props that I want to filter on there. So if I look at Jake Irvin, right? So he's a righty. And not somebody that gets a lot of guys to strike out, but also pretty low walk rate, right? So if we're kind of taking, some of this information here, are there guys that, strike out a lot, but we want to be able potentially to target them for tomorrow because they might have a better chance of, maybe they're not going to be swinging quite as much. So we'll look at Arizona again. And Jake Irvin, also a righty. So I'll just go back here. And let's see. Who has been great against right-handed pitching? Almost all of them. Probably the one that you're going to get the best price on. Looks like, I'm going to say probably Pavin Smith or Alec Thomas. So now, if I go in here, and actually I'll go into filters. What I'll just end up doing, just to kind of target this for tomorrow, just put in Pavin Smith. And then who else did we want? We wanted Alec Thomas, right? So assuming they're in the lineup for tomorrow, you click those two players. We're going to want props. We're going to want overs. And then I'm probably looking for bases here, maybe for singles, doubles, and home runs. And then you can set this as like, hey, are there any of these that are quite good? For me, I'm going to probably look at anything that's basically plus money on this. So we'll do plus 100. And we'll save this and we'll just call this like Irvin 4 fade batters. All right, cool. So then I'm just going to set my notification right here. Now, you can look at these right now. Like if you wanted to bet on any of them today, obviously you can go still use that that filter. But now, tomorrow, basically when these lines come out like in the middle of the night, I'm East Coast, so probably around like 2 a.m. Eastern, I'm going to get a notification letting me know when that's up. And then you can go and see if any of those are going to be EV or some good plays to go up against Jake Irvin. So I would say Diamondbacks, particularly these two guys, would be interesting for me this upcoming weekend. And if we're looking real quick back at the starters for tomorrow. So, batters, teams that I would be kind of highlighting, probably, again, it would be like someone like Suzuki or Swanson on the Cubs. We've got Arizona that would be in there. Also, probably, I think that the Royals would be interesting with Kramer on the mound there. So if you're looking for any props that you want to target with Royals, that would be probably a good one for batters. Let's see. Yeah, we're still in 2024 stats, and some of these guys, for example, like Gavin Williams, played 9 games, none at home. William, I tend to agree. I'm a Mets fan. I'm also built to just expect disappointment. And yeah, that could very well happen. That's also how I feel about just betting on any Suzuki prop this year for the Cubs. But still a great matchup either way. So I would still at least want to target that. And then if we're looking for guys, by the way, that you want to kind of like back in terms of strikeouts, I love Yamamoto just in general. I think he's like just going to have this awesome season. I believe he had, 10 Ks in his last start. So you've got Philadelphia here. And, we're looking at just like K rates for Philly. You're going to want to target guys like, for an SGP, for example, this is a good leg that you could be able to add for tomorrow. So JT, Marsh, Schwarber, any one of those guys to strike out, that's a good leg. It's an easy one to add that you can be able to put in into your SGP. So, I'll just add another one here because I know since the Phillies play today, we can add them. So I'm going to put in like Schwarber, put in Real Muto. Oh, maybe JT's not playing. Is he not in the lineup today? I thought he was in the lineup today. Maybe his props aren't up yet? Nope. All right. Won't be able to set that one for him, but I do want an over on Schwarber. And, we want Marsh, right? We want Marsh is the other ones. All right, Marsh. And then we're going to do for props. You want to do strikeouts batter with the B. And don't really care so much about odds here, but for books, it's not letting me select that one. So we'll just keep that so we'll just say Phillies to K against something like that. Put that in there. Cool. Now we've got that filter. And I'm going to get alerted whenever that line comes out. So that would be another one. Oh, that's why, because it's just Prize Picks is the only one that has lines for that today. But hey, there you go. That's a good Prize Picks entry that you could possibly be building for tomorrow to add into like a power play or a flex. Either one of those may be good to add. So those are a couple guys that I'd be targeting there. And if we're looking ahead to the weekend, one thing that if you want to start kind of getting in the habit of seeing like who is pitching for the upcoming games, just go to Fangraphs. This is free. You can go to in-season tools. You go to roster resource, and you will see the probables grid. Click that, and you're going to get a full list of what Fangraphs believes will be the probables. I will tell you from experience, this changes like frequently. So you do want to maybe check this a couple times throughout the day. But it is, any sport is a guessing game. Baseball is no different in that sense. But yeah, I think like you kind of look at some of the guys or totals that you might want to be targeting. We've got, for example, Pivetta looked awesome in that first start against the Braves. Who is he facing with the Cubs? Matthew Boyd, who was also pretty good to end last season. So like I'd be looking maybe for in that Cubs Padres, depending on weather, maybe a lower total there. You see, you've got Sasaki at the Phillies on Saturday. He is going to be up against Nola. I love Phillies. You're probably going to almost certainly get a plus price on the run line there. I think Sasaki is kind of broken right now. Not to say he's not going to be great eventually, but that is, I thought that they may try to wait to start him at Washington, but it looks like scheduled for tomorrow. So that'd be one to monitor too. Phillies batters against Sasaki or under Sasaki Ks. That would be a good one to probably like kind of just keep an eye on through there. A couple other guys, if we're looking here through the probables, just trying to see, again, I'm kind of looking at like who are pitchers I think are going to be either really good spots or bad spots. Yeah, it might be kind of interesting here on Ober for a total. You've got Arrighetti and Ober on Saturday. I might be looking for like a total under 8.5 for that one. You can definitely, if you get 8.5, that's probably a good number there. I just think Arrighetti looked awesome in his first start against the Mets. Ober is pretty hit or miss, but when he's on, he's on. So I don't mind that as potentially a total that you want to look at. And then if you're looking at the games for Sunday, you've got Kumar Rocker on the mound. That'll be interesting. And what is this? This is his second start. Yes. And he was not good in his first start. So I would say like Tampa, are they playing at Tampa or are they playing at Texas? Okay, they're playing at Texas. So I was going to say, like, in terms of like some home run plays, anytime that Tampa's playing at home, I'm going to want to look at guys that are going to be playing in that game. But even still, Tampa, some batters, maybe like a Brandon Lowe, might be somebody that you could look at to bet for that Texas game against Kumar Rocker. So that's one there. And kind of like, again, that Phillies matchup. God, that total is going to be so low for Sunday. Glasnow and Sanchez. So probably not going to get a lot of value there. But if you're looking just for, like an alt under that you can add to like a parlay, that might be a good one that you could be able to put in there as well. So, all right. That about does it here for the weekend preview. So to recap, just for anybody that's joining at the end and you just wanted to get an idea of some of those bets that we had talked about earlier in the show. So we're using our no sweat bet here today for DK on Wilyer Abreu. That's at plus 700 against the Orioles at 105. I also like Alec Boehm as another home run play that you can put in your pocket for today at 750 on DraftKings. 830 is your best price that you're going to get there on FanDuel. You can use your profit boost for that. We did play. I don't know if it's still going to be there, but we'll look at. Yep, still there. So Hunter Goodman at plus 125 to single. Use that profit boost that you can use on FanDuel to boost that one and give you a little bit more CLV there. And then we also targeted the under for the Nerfy for the first inning On FanDuel, again, that price is better on DraftKings, but we're getting that 30% profit boost. So can use that here for FanDuel. This is Joe Ryan against Hunter Brown. So like that one, think that might be a good use of that profit boost for there. And yeah, those are the three, at least the main ones that we wanted to add to our slip, at least for today. And I think the Alex Bregman to double was another one that I had kind of talked about that said that might be interesting and worth a little bit of a sprinkle as well. I think it was plus 400 that we wanted to use there. So I think that does that. I think that about does it here, right? For kind of looking at the preview. So I'll share these here in the Outlier Discord. Also, every day I try to share pitchers that are good fades or good backs. So some of those are good. Sometimes they are not. I think I had like fade Evaldi against the Reds the other day, and he was masterclass. So, take those also with a grain of salt. But I'll be around. I'm Slippin Jimmy. We do this every Thursday. Make sure to, keep putting your questions, keep looking for bets. Put those in the Discord. Join us here every Thursday. We'll have this out. And thanks everybody for joining, and we'll catch you later. Best of luck.